You guys, welcome back to I totally fudged the name of my own show. Welcome back to Gotta Love Them Movies, your place to talk about the stuff that you love. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Brown. I'm here all the time. And you guys, today, I want to say today's a beautiful day in New York, but it is gross outside. It is currently 81 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think the Celsius would be something like 31, 32, somewhere in through there. And it is humid. Gross. But you know who isn't gross? My guest for today. Ladies and gentlemen, coming all the way from, maybe like a 5-minute walk from my apartment. You guys, give it up for Moses Akempta.
Hey, y'all.
Woo woo. I almost just called you Almum because that's what I'm used to referring to you as. But we'll keep it simple. We'll keep it simple today. Dude, how are you? What's new with you? What's banging? What's shang-a-langing? What are your favorite movies out right now?
Favorite movies out right now. I'm gonna say I loved the Suicide Squad movie. Dude, that came out. Quiet Place is still out. Like, I think for a couple more days. I really want to see Respect. There's a couple more. There's probably a couple more, but those are the movies that are coming to mind right now.
Okay, so you just mentioned Respect. Did you know that Jennifer Hudson and Marlon Wayans at our theater at the AMC Harlem right over here, last Thursday night, Marlon Wayans and Jennifer Hudson did a live Q&A Thursday night, and I was so upset that I had to miss it because I had to go work. I had to go work my flight attendant job.
I missed it. I had stuff going on, so like I would have loved to have seen that and just been there at the Q&A, but
it's frustrating. Now, Moses, you are a filmmaker, you are a cinematographer, you're a director, you are all involved in the ins and outs of like the New York film world. Tell us a little bit before we jump into like movies and movie news. What projects do you have coming up? What specifically do you want to plug?
So this weekend actually is the beginning of the Chain Film Festival, which is happening at the Chain Theater in New York City. I've got a couple projects going on there, which one of them being Separation, which is going to be not this Friday, but next week Friday during the NYC Films Block. But this Sunday actually is going to be my solo directorial debut, which is called Subsist. It's plastered all over my Instagram, and I'll soon be plastering Separation all throughout. But both films are very near and dear to me. Separation is a collaboration that I got from an actress that I worked on a previous project, but Subsist has been a labor of love that's been 6 years in the making. And I'm just really excited that people get to see it because it's a film that it's a film that's, I like to call it like fine wine, in the fact that when we were making it, it was just like, we'll make a film and it will make a film and just to show what I can do. But as time has gone on with COVID and a couple of personal events that have happened in my life, it's a very timely film for right now.
Dude, that's first of all, anytime somebody has an opportunity to make a film, whether it's a short film, even a sketch, but here you are coming out with 2 different feature-length films simultaneously.
They're short.
I thought you said. Apologies. I thought you said they were feature-length. Still.
No. Not yet.
but even still, short films, even sketches, like turned into like a 5, 6, or even like a 10-minute short or whatever. They're not easy. They're not easy to make. The writing process, the filming, the funding. My goodness. A massive part of filmmaking is the funding process. So just to hear that you're putting out your first 2 shorts, Can you tell us anything? Like, what are the two synopses of each one?
So the synopsis for Separation is it's a 5 minute long film. So basically the premise is it's these two women who are sitting in the middle of Washington Square Park and they're having a good time, and then someone interrupts them, and then it kind of like spirals out of control very, very fast. So that's that. And for Subsist, the synopsis for that is after a traumatic event, our main character Derek is kind of working through it, and it's represented as he's walking through Central Park.
Dude, interesting. That's really cool. Well, hats off to you. Is there this festival, film fest that they're being premiered at? Is it online or is it in person only?
So they're actually both. They're in the link. You can be able to choose how you want to view it. You can view it online, or you can attend the in-person screenings, which again for Subsist is this Sunday at 5 p.m. and for Separation it's next week Friday at 8:30 p.m. And of course the standard rules apply with venues and everything. But if you're able to attend, just come through. You'll see me in either a t-shirt or like some sort of wacky
Dude,
outfit.
That's awesome. Yes. Please send me the links so we can get all of those. They won't be in the comments section, obviously. But after this video has finished streaming, all those links will be down in the comment description. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know my YouTube. I know my YouTube.
Well, dude, thanks so much for sharing. Thanks so much for plugging. Let's jump in and do what we do best. You guys, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and click that subscribe button in the top right-hand corner of the screen. When you do, obviously the channel gets more subscribers, and with more subscribers, the more watched content we get. And with the more watched content we get, hopefully I get to make this show my full-time job. So I really appreciate your love and support in that regard. You guys, if there's anything in specific that you want to talk about, send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com, and as long as your comment or question is family friendly, we'll make it like a main topic here on the show. Again, if you think that like, oh, there's this breaking news that Mike didn't cover, or oh, hey, here's this rumor that I heard, we'll break all that stuff down. It'll be a group discussion. I'll try to find out as much information as I can about it so we can get you guys the most informed opinions and factual information coming down the pike. So yeah, just send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com. As long as it's family friendly, we'll make your email a main topic here on the show. All right, you guys, with that being said, we have a brand new segment to debut on the show today, and let's take care of that real quick.
Real quick.
Listen, real quick.
Okay.
All right, you guys, real quick, we have a couple of things to, like breaking news to cover. First and foremost, Fast and the Furious 10 has its new release date set for 2023. That was April 7th in 2023. Now, again, you guys, let's take this with a grain of salt. Right now, it's 2021. We're hot and heavy in the middle of a pandemic, of a global pandemic. We're a year and a half into this global pandemic, and we're not out of the woods yet. So, even though Universal Studios has set April 7th, 2023 as their release date for Fast 10, which, as a side note, Fast 10 was supposed to get its release date for this year, for 2021, I believe. But yeah, thanks pandemic, all of those plans got pushed. So yeah, they're going to be filming fairly soon, coming up for 2023 release date. Again, I say take this with a grain of salt. Anything could happen. We're in a global pandemic. This show date, this release date could very well get pushed again. Well, I say again, but like just like all the other films before it, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I don't know. Moses, I know you've seen the Fast and the Furious movies. You were actually more of a fan of Fast 9 than I was. First of all, how much are you looking forward to Fast 10? And do you actually, I mean, it's complete speculation, but what are the chances that you think it's going to keep its April 7th, 2023 release date? Interesting points you make. You guys, this happens. I feel like this happens every show. I kick it over to my Skype guest, and for whatever reason, Skype just does not want to cooperate. So we're just gonna close Skype real quick, open it back up, and hopefully we'll get Moses back on the line pretty quickly. But you guys, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts and feelings regarding Fast 10? What do you think the title should be? Do you think it's going to hold its release date? Is this even news right now? Is it because we've always known that Fast and the Furious 10 was going to happen. They've been talking about it for a long time now. We know that it has a solid. It's going to be a 2-part movie. We know that it's coming out. We know that it's a big thing. But I want to hear from you. Oh, speaking of hearing from people, it looks like we now have Moses back on the line. Moses, what are your thoughts about Fast 10? What do you think the title should be? Is this even news? I know you liked Fast 9 better, way better than I did. What are your thoughts about Fast 10 here?
Listen, I'm here for a fun time. It's just a fun movie. I'm not taking it too seriously because it's just fun for me. I saw a comment that was like, it better be called like Fast 10 your seatbelts type of thing. So it's just like it's at this point it's well self-aware of what it is. So it's like, why not? Let's have a nice round number to end it. If it ends it there, why not?
Well, we know it's going to be a 2-part. We know it's going to be a 2-part. So, I mean, technically, there's not going to be a Fast 10, but it is going to be. Oh, I'm sorry, Fast 11, but there is going to be a Fast 10 Part 1 and Fast 10 Part 2.
Okay, then it's gonna go like with the ending of Harry Potter type thing. So just ride it out.
I love that Fast 10 your seatbelt.
I wish I could claim that, but some genius in the comments for that when I saw the article for that.
Let's jump in the comments real quick. Who said that?
It was I think his last name was Santiago. It was like on the Variety Facebook page and whatnot. But
oh man,
it was genius. It was so
that's
good.
Genius. I love that. Now, granted, the movie's still not quite 2 years away. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt and say a year and a half out. What are the chances that it's going to hold its release date?
Honestly, at this stage of the game, it's very much a wait and see. Like you said, we're still very much in the middle of a pandemic, regardless of like the V word being out and the V word meaning vaccine. There's still lots of other V words, which is variants that are out there, and we don't know the far-reaching impacts of those. So it's a very volatile. What's the word? It's a very volatile ground right now. So we can't just safely say, oh, in 2 years this movie is going to happen for sure. We just don't know.
We just don't know. That's plain and simple. But what I want to know from you guys is, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to hold its release date? What other clever titles besides Fast 10 your seatbelts do you think it might render? What do you think? What do you think we're looking at? You guys jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, real quick, we have another real quick article to talk about. And this just came out, well, actually, was it 2 days ago? There was the world premiere of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And online reactions are incredible, you guys. This movie is... real quick, Moses, when I saw the trailer for Shang-Chi, or like all the trailers, all the different trailers combined, the first trailer I thought was the best. It got me amped up. It got me excited. The music seemed really cool. But I'll be honest, it didn't put like this incredible... Do you remember when Episode 7, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, there was so much anticipation and buildup. Same thing with Avengers Endgame, or even Infinity War. Thank you. There was this absolute energy in the air, in the online sphere, at Comic-Con, everywhere. Everybody was just like on pins and needles, and there was this palpable, excuse the pun, but there was this force in the air. I never got that. With Shang-Chi. The trailer looks, okay, this looks kind of cool. Like, I'm definitely going to go see it. It looks fun. Aquafina looks fun. Kind of funny, but I just didn't strike me with this incredible impact. First of all, how did the trailer or any of the trailers strike you? And how does that compare and contrast to what we're hearing online right now?
So, as you know, or anybody close to me knows, I'm a Marvel shill. I love this stuff. And have been since Spider-Man back in the day. That was my intro. It was my gateway drug to comic books. Let me just put it like that. In fact, the shirt I'm wearing is pretty much like a quote from Captain America: Winter Soldier. I'm with you till the end of the line. It was made by my friend Jordan with her company. But anyway, so that's so just to let you know, like, where I'm coming from. With me, I really liked the first trailer. I don't really buy. I feel like if I'm not in with the first trailer, I don't really care about it. But with the first trailer, I was into it. Like, I was very intrigued. Obviously, Shang-Chi, that's my blind spot. I don't know. I, like a lot of the general public, don't know a lot about Shang-Chi, but it got me interested. And now I would say probably not to the level, like the trailer, I don't think it's a fair comparison to compare the first trailer to Shang-Chi to, like, a Star Wars or an Avengers Endgame or an Avengers Infinity War, in the fact that those are like big event movies compared to an installment within the franchise. However, I will say this: it didn't get. I will compare. I think a fair comparison or fair measure would probably be to, like, I'd say like a Black Panther for me. When the first trailer for Black Panther first dropped for me, I'm not going to say it's as good because there's, for several different reasons, but for me, it was a step or two below how excited I was for Black Panther. I was very intrigued to learn more about this character because of the first trailer.
I mean, as you kind of lightly touched on, movies like Black Panther and also now Shang-Chi, and to a certain extent, Captain Marvel, have a very significant cultural base to them that, like, we're now starting to get into storytelling that is not about the white male protagonist, right? So it does come with other cultural influences that are very important and are being upheld by other demographics than what we've been used to for so long. So yes, there is a certain importance and what's the word that I'm looking for? kind of a cultural impact that we're expecting from this. And I just want to jump into this article really quick. This is from Collider. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I just want to go over some of these tweets that have been put out. Perry Nimerov of Collider says, those Shang-Chi action set pieces are stunners. Choreography, cinematography, costume design, VFX, all on point and come together to make those fights MCU stand out. Shang-Chi is like no Marvel movie you've seen. Love it. Opens the door to a new world that I can't wait to see more of. Simu Liu literally kicks so much butt. He is perfectly cast. Got to see it in IMAX tonight. This is how you want to see it. Looked and sounded perfect. Wendy Lee Zanny says Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is phenomenal. Get hyped. Even every fight scene, action sequence is better than the last. Simu Liu fully embraces the Marvel superhero role. Amazing imagery, killer soundtrack. You want to see this on the big screen. Shang-Chi is a fun ride. Kicks it into overdrive from the jump. Shang-Chi's action-packed adventure that checks all the summer blockbuster boxes. I really dug Shang-Chi. There's a lot not in the trailer. This is huge. There is a lot not in the trailers. Maybe avoid ads in the next couple of weeks. I fear they will show more. It has its own vibe and distinct elements that makes it stand out and not feel like a standard origin story, and Simu Liu makes for an awesome hero. You guys, on and on and on. People are gushing about how, first of all, how good the movie is. How incredible of an achievement this is, but also this is the kind of movie that, you know, nobody really expected it to be this good. We hoped that it was going to be this good, but for the most part, I mean, Black Widow was good, but it didn't have this overwhelmingly gushing, like, my goodness, this is incredible, kind of approach to it. Moses, do the premiere reactions get you more hyped for this movie, more excited? Or are you still kind of one of those people like, I want to temper my expectations. Just because you loved the movie doesn't mean I'm going to love the movie as much as you do. How do you take these kinds of reactions?
Like it does get me more excited, but I'm kind of in the middle in the fact that it's like, okay, it kind of bolsters my confidence a little bit, but I was already in from the first trailer, so it's just like I just kind of want to see it to see for myself, and I just want to see how it is, and I agree wholeheartedly.
I do as well, and you guys, same for you. I want to know your thoughts and feelings. How do these Shang-Chi reactions get you excited? Does it raise the level? Are you trying to temper expectations a little bit? Or are you just kind of still like, no, like, I'm going to go see it. I'm not putting my expectations too high. Whatever. I want to know what your thoughts and feelings are down in the comment section below. All right, guys, with that down and out of the way, a few of you have written in some emailed questions, so let's jump in and take some of those email questions now.
What?
What?
All right, you guys, and our first emailed question comes to us from the Nerd Zone, and Nerd Zone says, subject of his email is dedication. I just watched What If Episode 2, and I would like to say on your channel, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Your role as T'Challa was amazing, and you will be known as an amazing actor for the future generation. It is sad to see a man die so young last year, but his legacy will last forever. And yeah, I mean, I would also very much like to hearken what Nerd Zone says. And again, if you're not entirely familiar with the context, Marvel's Disney Plus, or rather Disney Plus has a new series on Marvel has a new series on Disney Plus, is what I'm trying to say, called What If, and episode 2, we had episode 1 last week with what if Peggy Carter became Captain America, or I guess as they call her, Captain Carter. But now in this second episode, what happens if Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy abducted T'Challa instead of Star-Lord, instead of shoot, why can't I think of his name? Peter Quill, and then took him to outer space, and now T'Challa becomes one of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's the subject of this particular What If. But we're not going to, break down the episode and everything, but it does kind of stir some emotions because Chadwick Boseman voiced his character T'Challa in this episode, and I believe there's a grand total of 4 episodes where Chadwick Boseman comes back to vocally reprise his role as T'Challa. So, as beautiful of a performance as Chadwick Boseman gave in the live-action movies, he also gave a beautiful vocal performance to bring to life that character once again. Yeah, I mean, Chadwick Boseman was an incredible actor with incredible abilities. And again, I don't want to keep harping on this, but to me, this continues to reinforce the idea that the decision of not recasting the role of T'Challa in the live-action films is an absolute travesty. Now, Moses, I know you are a huge Black Panther fan, like many of us are. You had an opportunity to watch this episode this morning. What were your overall? Because I don't want to go into like a discussion about the episode itself, but what was it about the vocal performance that Chadwick Boseman brought to the small screen that brings to life this character?
Well, first of all, it was just nice to hear his voice again. It was nice to hear him put his spin on in a different direction within the same universe as the same character, if that makes sense. Personally, it was nice because outside of Spider-Man and Black Panther, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Star-Lord. So just to be able to see T'Challa inhabit the role of what Star-Lord would, T'Challa in the Guardians of the Galaxy, was very exciting for me personally. Now what it means, I do have something for the recasting comment that you said that
Sure.
we can get into if you want to. But just as you know, it was nice hearing him. It was nice seeing him kind of like in a somewhat different role as a king. But I just really loved this episode, and if we're getting 3 more, then sign me up. I'm going to watch it expeditiously. Also, I want that outfit. I want that T'Challa jacket.
It's going to happen. Somebody
much.
somewhere on Etsy is going to see this episode and then recreate it and then just mass produce it somewhere. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about the recasting of T'Challa's Black Panther, because when this was first announced that Kevin Feige said they will not be recasting the role of T'Challa, some people were like, yes, you are not allowed to recast the role of T'Challa. That belongs to Chadwick Boseman. But then there's people on my side of the argument saying you can't not recast the role of T'Challa. It's, you recast James Bond. Sean Connery did not own the role of James Bond. Christopher Reeve did not own the role of Superman. Michael Keaton did not own the role of Batman, so on and so on and so on. And it's, my opinion and the opinion of a lot of people as well on the internet, that by not recasting, that does an injustice to the memory of, into the legacy of Chadwick Boseman. Again, let me go back to the James Bond movies for a second. Dr. No, the very first James Bond, big action movie, because there was a small screen version, in 1962, if that's all there was, if Sean Connery did 5 movies and then that was it, and they never continued on with the series, how many of us now, today, would rewind time and go back and rewatch those old 1960s James Bond movies? I don't think a lot of us would. Probably a few, but I don't think a lot of us would go back and rewatch those movies. And the same thing with this. Now, granted, the Avengers MCU universe is a little bit different in that regard, in that it's more of a cultural experience, and these movies are now spanning decades. And all the characters come in and out and blah 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 whatever. But what's your opinion here? Like, do you think that they should recast or not? And how so?
I think Loki was the best thing to happen to the MCU going forward, and the fact that it now shifts the dynamic, and like you have a lot more flexibility to do things. Like, for example, just that last bit, it's like it's now, the multiverse is now open. You could technically make an argument that every single movie based on a Marvel property is canon in the fact that it's a different universe. So why not take that idea and here's how I would do it. You can use the Black Panther sequel to honor this universe's T'Challa in the fact that you get to honor Chadwick Boseman. Then at the end, you probably have a different T'Challa from a different universe, kind of like a post-apocalyptic type of thing where Wakanda's been destroyed, and that's due to the Atlanteans, and then you have him be their T'Challa and warn them of the threat that is Namor the Submariner, and which leads into the next Black Panther movie, because, as you know, and which was hinted at in Endgame, that there was an underwater earthquake on the coast, on the Wakandan coast, and Okoye was like, Nat, you don't understand. There was an earthquake underneath Wakanda, which insinuates that there may be a treaty where the Wakandans don't go underwater because they don't infringe on Namor's kingdom type of thing. So in that fact, you have your cake and eat it too, in the fact that you honor T'Challa, you honor Chadwick Boseman's version of T'Challa while opening the door for a different T'Challa to live in this universe.
So I've had a very, very similar musings in that regard, where they could seamlessly, through storytelling, bring a new T'Challa into the MCU verse, because as you say, like, everything is now kind of by extension canon, because we have the multiverse. But yeah, like, you could bring a new actor in, and I keep saying Aldous Hodge. Aldous Hodge is my number one choice to play T'Challa. I don't think they're going to do it because he's just been cast as Hawkman in the Black Adam movie. But I mean, who knows? I mean, like, James Gunn going back and forth between Marvel and DC now. I mean, who knows what doors are going to open as a result of that? But I'm still holding hope for Aldous Hodge to come out and play T'Challa. Whoever ends up playing T'Challa, if indeed they do recast, that is the way that I've always thought that they could do it. It makes the most sense, right? Yeah. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What were your knee-jerk reactions to the What If episode where Chadwick Boseman came back to vocally reprise his role as T'Challa back in the MCU? However you want to catify. What is up with my speech today? You know what I'm trying to say. What are your thoughts? Jump on down to the comment section below. All right, guys, our next email question today comes to us again from the Nerd Zone. And Nerd Zone says, a Star Wars Visions trailer. The trailer for Star Wars Visions. And as a Star Wars fan, this looks very interesting. And I don't really like anime, so I hope it does a good job at getting me to enjoy it. And yeah, so Nerd Zone, I have got to agree with you there, buddy. I am not the biggest anime fan on the planet. And when I say I'm not the biggest anime fan, I just straight up don't like anime. I've tried over the years, and so many people have come back at me and saying, "Oh, well, you just haven't tried the right anime." Yes, I have. I've tried. I'm not going to say I've tried it all, because there's a lot of anime out there, but I've tried enough to know anime is not for me. But I would be lying. I would be straight up lying if I didn't say that the new trailer for Star Wars Visions looks incredible. This is one of the best trailers that I've ever seen for a Star Wars property. It really is. First of all, the music. One of the first things to grab me. The music in this trailer is exciting. It's fun. It's grabbing. It's intriguing. And that's a difficult thing for a trailer to do. Or rather, that's a difficult thing for music to do, is to make it intriguing. And the music that they chose for this trailer is intriguing. It's a great trailer. It shows you what it's about. It gives you a strong premise in saying there's 9 episodes that have nothing to do with the Star Wars saga. 9 stories, independent stories being told that just happen to take place within the Star Wars universe. These 9 stories are being brought to you by 7 of the best anime studios out there. So you have 7 different studios creating 9 different episodes. And each episode is going to look different. It's going to feel different. This is the same premise that was... do you remember like 10 or 15 years ago, there was an anime movie series kind of a thing, very similar to the same thing, called Batman Gotham Knight? Each episode was like 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long, something like that. And then, they compile them all together for kind of like a feature-length film. So this obviously is going to be a little bit different. Each episode, I presume, is going to be anywhere between 25 and 45 minutes, somewhere in through there, probably closer to the 25-minute mark. But still, each episode is going to be a longer, fully fleshed out episode with like story details and plot and whatever. Each episode is going to have its own different animation style. And Moses, I got to be honest, I'm still as excited as this trailer gets me. I'm still probably not going to watch it because anime. I wish I liked anime. I can't get past the look and the feel of it. It's purely the aesthetic. And I don't like that aesthetic. I don't like that feeling that anime just is intrinsically. So I'm probably not going to watch it. Having said that, this is an incredible trailer. Did this trailer get you excited? How do you feel? Are you going to watch it? Do you like anime? Where does this sit with you?
So my feelings on Star Wars and anime are... I didn't grow up with Star Wars. I watched it when I was getting into film just because I felt like
it's a cultural
I had to.
Phenomenon.
Exactly. So I'm not as die-hard on certain Star Wars than I am. Although I will agree that the prequels are terrible. I'm just going to say that. Now, as far as anime goes, I'm getting into it. Thankfully, I have a couple of good friends that put me on to some anime that I'm really getting into, like Detective Conan. I'm starting to watch Cowboy Bebop, and just getting into anime. So it's just like I'm slowly getting into it. So as for someone who is not a Star Wars is not like married to the Star Wars lore as a lot of people are, I can't wait to watch this. It's like for a lot of the reasons you said. I loved the trailer. I loved the music. I loved how they had like in trailers. I love when they honor what has passed in musical cues, but then put like their own modern spin on it. And I just loved it. I loved the animation. I loved the action sequences. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I literally can't wait to see it. And I'm interested in this for this simple fact that as much as everyone loves the Star Wars movies or the mainline Star Wars movies, it centers around the Skywalkers and like royal bloodlines and everything, which is a large reason why I was disappointed with the sequel trilogy that recently came out. But I'm very excited for Star Wars Visions because I'm hoping that it takes the lore farther than one specific bloodline. I just want to see, and plus the lightsaber battles. I just put it in my face. Put it in my face. I want it.
Well, I'm glad that you are more excited about this than I am. I mean, like I said, the trailer looks incredible, but it's anime, and I can't get past it. I've tried, like I said, Batman Gotham Knight. I really thought that I was going to get into it. I hated it. There was the X-Men animated series. I believe I want to say it's on Peacock. I may be mistaken on that, but wherever it lives these days, I gave it a shot when it first came out. I did not like it. Yeah, I don't know. I've watched Attack on Titan. I've watched Spirited Away. I've watched a little bit of Cowboy Bebop. I've watched various things over the years. And guys, don't hate me. I'm probably not going to watch it.
I will say this: there was an animated series called The Spectacular Spider-Man a while back ago. Of course, again, Spider-Man is my gateway. If you put a Spider-Man thing on it, I'm going to check it out. And the first couple episodes, much like you, I didn't like the animation style, but the story was so good that it drew me in, and I could look past that until the point where I actually was like, you know what, I actually like this. Let's keep this. So, and I mean, the trailer intrigued you enough, so it's just like, why not just give it a shot? I will say
there was one. It would look like it was one episode because of its specific animation style, but it was a little bit more. I don't know how to describe it. Black and white. It looked like it was. Those like black sheets of paper that like when you scratch it, like the white from the paper underneath comes through. It kind of looked like that a little bit. It looked a little bit more hand drawn. It looked a little bit more black and white in features and stuff like that. That episode, the aesthetic of that sequence looked really cool, and I might go and check that out. But I don't know. On the whole, we'll see. We'll catch where catch can. I'll be honest, I haven't even watched The Bad Batch yet. So
Damn.
So we'll see. I don't know, guys, but I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Does this trailer get you excited? Because it got me excited, but like anime. Sorry. What are your thoughts about Star Wars Visions? Let me know down in the comments section below. All right, guys, let's move on to our last email of the day before we start taking some live comments and questions. And our last email comes from the Nerd Zone. And Nerd Zone says, news. Is this our last email? I feel like there's one more. No, this is our last email. News. Venom 2 gets delayed to October, and now people are worried for what is going to happen to No Way Home, referring to Spider-Man No Way Home. And yeah, this should not be coming as a surprise to anybody, but Venom, Let There Be Carnage, has been delayed from late September until mid-October. So it's been pushed back about 3 weeks. There's a little bit of discussion as to what Sony is going to do with this new vacated spot. If they're going to take Hotel Transylvania 4 and move it up a little bit and kind of see how that performs in the September spot. But, I mean, Moses, as you were talking about earlier, with all the different V's floating around, the variants and the vaccines and COVID's still a raging. This Delta variant has a lot of people on edge because it's pretty much. We always knew that there was going to be a second wave and a third wave and a fourth wave, but this particular wave has more people concerned. That seems a little bit more in line of what we saw at the beginning of the pandemic, where we weren't really sure how this variant, or we weren't sure how COVID was going to react or how we were going to react to it. In a similar way, we don't know how the Delta variant is going to be. So, and then there's the question of vaccinations. How many people have been vaccinated? I think we're currently up to 52% of the population, which is so disappointing. And now, as of today, Joe Biden just came out and said that, there's a new booster shot that will be available next month for people who've already had the vaccine for 6 months or more. So now there's a booster shot happening and all this stuff. So we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what things are going to look like. We don't know how all this stuff is going to play out. But it also comes as no surprise. Spider-Man No Way Home. Is that going to get pushed back? Because if Marvel is going to do anything of what Sony is doing, it's going to be biding their time. Huge question, is Spider-Man No Way Home going to get pushed back to 2022? We have no way of knowing. I think there's a very good chance, a very good possibility that this movie may get pushed back a little bit. I was thinking more of maybe a January kind of thing. But I don't know, maybe summer 2022 might be a safer bet for Disney, depending on how Shang-Chi shakes out, depending on how the Eternals shakes out, and depending on how Venom Let There Be Carnage shakes out. Moses, what's your knee-jerk reaction to this? And then keep in mind, after we hear your comments, I want to jump back into this article from Comic Book Resource. They list a few different captions as questions, and I kind of want to address each one of those captions. But real quick, I want to hear from you, do we have when I say cause for alarm, do we have cause for alarm to say, is it a safer option to push Spider-Man back, or do you think Disney might actually hold on to its December 17th release date?
Oh, this is such a loaded question. I have so many feelings on this. Well, it's been documented so many times on this that Spider-Man is my gateway drug into comics and everything. I liked the first Venom movie. I won't say I felt like it should have been a one and done. It just, for me, Venom just doesn't feel like Venom without Spider-Man. No matter how you try to spin it off into its own thing, it's just, you cannot have a Venom without Spider-Man, because that's how he got his name, because he's and the costume. Poison to Spider-Man. And costume and powers and all of that. It's just why are we doing this? But so imagine my horror imagine my horror in finding out when we got a sequel and everything. It's just it just doesn't feel right to me personally. Now, putting personal feelings aside, Venom Let There Be Carnage is a much different animal than Spider-Man No Way Home, for several reasons. Because it's Venom Let There Be Carnage, it would be more in the ballpark of a superhero movie that's the Suicide Squad, in the fact that it's an R-rated superhero movie that's much of its draw is the characters who are known to be violent. Because if you read the comics, Carnage is a monster. He goes on a murder spree. He is a
serial killer.
So you can exactly, and in it you have Spider-Man and Venom and a few other superheroes trying to take down Carnage and his motley crew of carnage of Canaanites and all that stuff. So you can't equate a movie that's like that to basically what's the closest that we're going to have to like a Superman movie, which is Spider-Man No Way Home. And if the rumors are holding true, then we're going to have, you know, all the Spider-Men back as well as past and present villains and whatnot. So so the success of Venom 2 isn't necessarily going to equate to a more family-friendly, a more universally known property as a Spider-Man movie. Now, would it be a safer move to move Spider-Man No Way Home to summer 2020 and placing it in kind of like the movie that's going to lead off the summer, kind of like an Avengers movie would? Most likely, because you're allowing more time for the world to figure its stuff out as they're trying to figure out what the new normal is around the pandemic. But I really believe that if No Way Home were to hold its Christmas release date as is, then because of the timing, because it's during Christmas, considered it's going to be one of the best. It's going to be one of the best movies of the year, simply because it's a Spider-Man movie.
I agree. I mean, I look at the situation. I look at the scenario. As much as I would love to see Spider-Man No Way Home come out in December, I think if we remove our emotional state from the situation, Disney probably has a better shot at releasing this next summer than they do now. Or at least, you know, March, April, once we, and again, like time is the key factor here. You know, so many of these studios have been sitting on these movies for so long, and some of them still haven't seen the light of day. James Bond, No Time to Die. James Bond, No Way Home, Time to Die. You know, Sony still has yet to release that. So, because we know, like, there are certain films that have a potential $1 billion price tag to it. I do real quick want to jump into this article from comicbook.com. And they have a few different, how do you call it? Subject titles, headers, paragraph headers. So this one right here, Spider-Man No Way Home, where's the trailer? I kind of want to go through this article and address each one of these subject headers individually. Where's the trailer? Well, first and foremost, I think we can all understand that the question to this, where's the trailer, there's a very good chance that Disney doesn't know when they're going to release this movie. So why start promoting the movie when you don't even know when it's going to come out? Or you don't even know roughly when it's going to come out, right? The second part of this answer is, well, even if if it does hold on to its December release date and they have definitively made this decision, of course, they're not going to let the public know just yet. But if they are, where's the trailer? We're 5 months away. Well, you guys, 5 months away, you shouldn't even start releasing trailers. And I understand, we want them. We want them so bad. But let's also remember, there's the comic book movie crowd, which is us, which is a very small demographic. But we think it's a much larger, a much more vast group of people, because we're so loud. We're so vocal on social media. We're so vocal and loud on YouTube. And let us not forget that our voices are the minority. We represent a very, very small portion of the crowd. The majority of movie-going audiences, if you start advertising this kind of movie to them 5, 6, 7, 8 months away from its release date, by the time you drop the second trailer and you're 4 months away, people are going to say, "Oh, I saw a trailer for that like a year ago. Didn't this movie come out already?" So you don't want to start advertising too early because people will just forget. You want to start with a little amp up, and then your next trailer should be, piggybacking off of that momentum. And then it really starts rolling. Look at Shang-Chi. We got the first trailer for Shang-Chi 4 months ago, and we got like, oh, this is kind of exciting. And then a month later, we got a second trailer. And then a month later, we got a third trailer. And then now, a month after that, we're getting all of this social media reaction saying, this is an incredible film. So when you pose the question, where's the trailer? Hold your horses for a second. It's not time to release a trailer yet. If this movie does indeed hold its December release date, September is the earliest that we're going to get a trailer for it, mid-September. You don't want to start advertising too much much earlier than that. Moses, do you have a particular opinion on that?
If movie franchises were musicians, then Spider-Man is essentially like Beyonce, and the fact that it could drop a trailer the day before and people would still sell out to see it. Like I'm not kidding. This is a $1 billion movie. This is at least a $1 billion plus movie, as if the rumors are holding with the fact that you have all the various different Spider-Men that are going to be in the movie, and the past and present villains and whatnot.
We need to take that with a grain of salt, like with a huge asterisk, because we're speculating, but that's not actually. Yes. We don't actually know that.
Right. Yes, but again, it's Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. People are going to show up for a Spider-Man movie, regardless. So, yeah, it could. Yeah, you don't need to do much to sell a Spider-Man movie.
No, you really don't. I want to jump in to our to the next kind of header that they have here. Spider-Man, no good release date, which is kind of a parody, kind of a take on No Way Home, that whole thing. No good release date. I will go ahead and tentatively agree with that in saying, for right now, that's kind of true. There is no good release date. Do you hold on to your December release date, which traditionally has been a big moneymaker for Disney film, like the big Disney, not just Disney films, films in general. Avatar made a ton of money around Christmas. Lord of the Rings made a ton of money around Christmas. Star Wars made a ton of money around Christmas. The James Bond movies, even though they've come out in like November, again, tons of money. So like in the holiday season, Jumanji, The Greatest Showman. Like, here's these. If you want to have if you have a good movie, if you have a solid movie, put it out around the holidays, and people are going to come out and pay for it. But again, yeah, considering we're in the middle of a global pandemic, still a year and a half in, yeah, I agree. There's no good release date. I want to jump to the last article header here, where they talk about, does Venom 2's delay affect Spider-Man No Way Home? We've already kind of hashed this out. We've already kind of talked about this enough. Will it, or does it affect? Time will tell. Time will tell. We have no way of foreseeing the future here. And I do very much think that Disney is watching what Sony's going to do, and they're going to see how Venom performs or because everything's underperforming right now. But I think they're trying to create the best situation out of bad scenario. So we're just going to have to wait and see how Venom does, how the Eternals does, how Shang-Chi does, how Shang-Chi does. We're just going to have to wait and see. Final thoughts?
Again, apples and oranges. A lot of these are either untested superhero properties or rated R or more violent versions of superhero movies in Venom. Spider-Man is a household name on the same level of a Superman or Batman movie.
I agree. I completely agree. Question is for you guys. What are your thoughts? What are your thinks? What are your thinks? Do you think that that Marvel's watching Sony and seeing how they're gonna play out this situation? Is there something that we're missing? Is there something that we're just not addressing here that very much is an indicator that Spider-Man is going to move to summer? And also, why summer? Why not spring of next year? Or even January? Who knows? Venom's being pushed back by 3 weeks. It's not the craziest thing to think that Spider-Man might get pushed by 3 weeks. Anyway, guys, what are your thinks? Jump on down to the comment section below. All right, you guys, with all that down and out of the way, now we've reached a portion of the show where we're going to jump in and take your live comments and questions. You guys have been firing in a ton of live comments and questions all show long, so let's go ahead and take those.
It's alive! It's alive!
All right, you guys. Like I said, you've been firing in comments and questions all show long, so let's jump in right now. Redacted83 says, Fast 10 better be called Fast 10 Furious. Ooh. Fast 10 Furious. As much as I like the title Fast 10 Your Seatbelts, I can actually see this being a real title. Fast 10 Furious. That kind of seems to be a little bit more in line with what the franchise has already been doing regarding their titles. Thoughts?
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. So it's just like, yeah.
Fair. Let's jump in. Nerd Zone says, Fast and Furious will be called Fast and Furious. Why do you keep watching these films? You know we want your money. You want to take some bets that will be the new title?
Yeah, that's a pretty safe bet.
I mean, it's true though. These movies have become so ridiculous. Kim and I only just started watching the Fast and Furious movies like 2 months ago because I really wanted to see Fast 9 in theaters because I didn't know when the last Fast movie was going to be. To be honest, I didn't want to wait another few years to go see this thing. So we watched the entire series from start to finish. And while the first few movies were terrible, the middle movies were actually kind of, I mean, they're not good movies, but they were fun. But yeah, Fast 9 just got to be a little too self-aware. Ugh, I hated it so much.
I got nothing. It's just like it's just popcorn movies for me. So it's like,
they are popcorn movies. Nerdzone says, I'm actually hyped for Shang-Chi. Simu Liu's excitement is so cool. Yeah, Simu Liu is he's been all over social media. He's actually criticized Disney CEO Bob Chapek for underselling. It's not that he threw them under the bus, but he referred to their movie. He referred to Shang-Chi as an interesting experiment. He didn't. I don't think that he meant it in that way of like, oh, it'll be an interesting experiment to see how this Marvel Kung Fu movie does. I don't think that's what he meant. He was specifically referring to the financial investors of like, yeah, it'll just kind of be an interesting experiment to see how this movie plays financially. But it was a public statement, and he should have chosen his words better, especially as the Disney CEO. And yeah, it's easy to see how those comments may have been taken out of line to say that yeah, their movie's being used as an experiment. So I mean, that's not just the only thing that Simu Liu has taken to social media to talk about, but yeah, people are extremely excited about this movie, and I for one am amped up to go see. I already have my tickets going Thursday night. Did you get your tickets yet?
Nice. And I'm in a group chat and figuring that out. But it's also kind of I just seeing Disney's history in how they've handled predominantly Asian characters, like with Mulan, both of them, like the animated version and this one. It always seemed like it was just very much in the, well, let's see what happens with this movie type of thing. And so Disney has had a history in that. So just for the CEO to come out and like use that use experiment, it's just like pretty poor choice of words.
You know, to Bob Chapek's credit, I genuinely don't think that's how he meant it. He was talking about it in a financial regard. It'll be an interesting experiment to see how this movie performs, being that, you know, they're not going to do it on Disney Plus. It's not going to have a premiere release. It's going to be theatrical only. So from that regard, yeah, it will be kind of interesting to see how this movie performs. But as you say, my goodness, what a poor choice of words. He could...
Also,
he could have just amped up the movie to his investors and saying, like, look, like, we're really excited about this. We're really hoping it's going to do well. There's a much better way to phrase that.
It also didn't come at the. It also came at the worst possible time with the whole like ScarJo Black Widow dealing with the deal and everything. So yeah, just all in all. The wrong place. Horrible.
Disney needs a little bit of PR work right now. They need a little PR work. Let's jump back in. Let's see. Nerdzone says, I actually burned my copy of Suicide Squad 2016 today, and I haven't felt happier. I binned or burned, whether you just tossed it away into the bin. I assume that's what you're referring to. Yeah, that movie's bad. It's just bad. There's a part of me that feels guilty because on this channel, back when I was doing like full-time movie reviews, and you, Moses, you actually helped me create this channel. You were a big influencing factor because you filmed my first episode. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You filmed my very first episode. And then, of course, George Chrysiliou did the graphics and a lot of stuff as well. But yeah, you helped create this channel. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, back when I was doing movie reviews, I remember walking out of the theater of David Ayer's Suicide Squad. And while not a great movie, it was better than any of the other DCEU films that I'd seen, and it left me with these feelings of, okay, that wasn't terrible, it wasn't great, but I kind of had a fun time. And so I gave that movie, I rated it at a 70 out of 100. And when the first trailer for James Gunn's Suicide Squad came out, Kim and I went back and rewatched David Ayer's Suicide Squad from 2016. Oh man, how did I ever feel that giving that movie a 70% was a good idea? It was bad.
I don't know. I've only seen that movie once, and it was I went with a friend who we were very self-aware of what this movie was. So it was just like a. So with me and my friends, we have a thing called S-word movies getting S-word. It's just watching bad movies and just like getting trash.
So crappy movies getting crappier.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes. Crappy movies getting crappier. That's we'll go with that. But so we just like me and a friend, we watched this movie like very well aware of like, well, this movie could be bad. It very well will be bad, but we'll go on we'll go in watching with sheer morbid curiosity. And every time like something terrible happened, we just turned and looked at each other and we just laughed. It has
such a wah wah kind of feel to it, and it just did not land. And the construction of the story, it was so contrived.
What story?
It was what? Well,
What
yeah,
story?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just found it interesting that after that, Suicide Squad was very much like bargain James Gunn trying to do, hey, look, there's the Guardians of the Galaxy. We're doing all the things that the Guardians of the Galaxy does. But at the first available opportunity, it's just like, okay, we have a chance to get the real guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy. Can you do that here? And he was just like, yeah, okay.
Do you remember the Muppets movie just called The Muppets? I think it came out in like 2011, something like that.
That's with
yeah,
Jason
the one that
Segel,
Jason
yeah?
Segel wrote and starred in.
I'm familiar with.
Quite possibly my favorite Muppet movie ever made. It's incredible. It's fantastic. The follow-up to that movie, Muppets Most Wanted, complete trash, nearly unwatchable. And I feel like that, what you were just describing, like David Ayer's Suicide Squad, like in reverse, is like the knockoff James Gunn version. Just like how Muppets Most Wanted was rushed. It was, oh hey, we have to monopolize on the success of this one Muppets property. We gotta bang out another one, and that's how I felt about Suicide Squad. Excuse me, David Ayer's Suicide Squad. But in reverse, we got the good one 5 years after we got the bad one.
Yeah, a lot of people think of James Gunn as just like, making these terrible, has a thing of making these terrible people have somewhat making the bad look cool and using like a great musical soundtrack. But one thing James Gunn does not get enough credit for is instilling a bit of heart into each of his movies. Which even at my favorite James Gunn movie is Super, and it kind of helped change the course of my life. And the fact that it's this very gritty, gross anti-superhero movie, but at the end of it, it has such a touching moment, and I'm just like, he does not get enough credit for instilling heart. He did it in The Guardians, and he did it even in the Suicide Squad, despite the fact that Suicide Squad is very vulgar, very violent, and all that. It also has heart that makes it that really brings it. It's not even that, and it's not even that. It's just like there's just like a moment. There's just like a few moments where you feel it, where you feel like the heart, and it's like I can walk home with this life lesson to be a better person. I felt nothing like that during the Suicide Squad. It was just like. I mean, not the Suicide Squad.
David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
The first Suicide Squad. It's David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
No, I completely agree. Where do we go? Nerdzone says, you have so many cool friends, Mike. I know. And it's not me. It's you, Moses. It's you. I'm in a...
Oh, wait. This guy.
Yeah, right.
I'm still trying
I know,
to get my
it's all backwards. Yeah, it took me
online space. Yeah,
it took me months to be able to, do this on command. But yeah, no, Moses, you are an incredible human being. You're motivated by a lot of the same stuff that motivates me. Your art is inspiring. Just who you are as a human being is inspiring. And I think that's one of the unique things about living in New York, and especially like living in New York as a comedian, is that I get to come in contact with so many interesting people who've done so many interesting things. Every now and again, I name drop on this channel, which I probably shouldn't. But then there's also people that, I don't name drop. Because there's no reason for it. There's no value to it. It's an empty sentiment of like, oh, look at who I know. And that's not what it's about. Like, it's about the people. It's about the community. It's about like inspiring others to be their best and to go reach for the stars and live for their dreams. I just happen to be in a very fortunate position where, I do, admittedly, yes, I understand I'm doing this to myself right now, but there are people in my life who have done incredible, incredible things. I'm not one of them. I'm just the lucky SOB that gets to be around these people. Like, you've
patted yourself on the back enough. I'm gonna do it now, because like just do it. Me personally, I think it's like you read like me personally. I'm a person who's big into vibes. Like I can largely pick up if you're a genuine person, and I've gotten better with this over the years. But the moment that I met you, it's just like I knew that this was a person that I really wanted to be around. Mike, and that's more of a testament of who you are as a person, because it's like I'm a firm believer of like being able to attract like. So the fact that you have so many cool people around you, as well as so many genuine people around you, that's really a testament of like how much we appreciate you as a person. And I'm not just saying this just because you brought me on to your to your program. Like, quiet you. But it's like, I genuinely treasure our friendship, and like I would say this to you even off air, because like you not only have been like cool to me, but also through a couple experiences, you have reached out to me and like made sure that I was okay when like after you hadn't seen me for a while and things of that nature. So I am grateful for your friendship, and Mike's awesome. There's more I could say, but the words I'm searching for, there are preschool.
Well, I'm glad to know preschool toys present. I'm glad to know that my Venmo check to you is cleared. So, for all of your kind words that you just said.
I won't take it.
No,
but
I
if you
paid
wanted
Moses
to
to
me
say all
one.
that. No, you're very kind. You're very generous, and in that regard, like we're both fortunate that we get to be surrounded by like-minded people that go off and do some really cool, some really incredible things. And yeah, that's just, and a lot of it. I put New York, just living in New York, as a big part of that, and that it's a city that brings like-minded people together. Let's stop patting ourselves on the back, shall we? Nerdzone says, do you call the Avengers films a trilogy, with Infinity War and Endgame being 2 parts? Nope. I call it a quadruplogy. Because now, Moses, you may have different feelings on this. Avengers Infinity War is not a story about the Avengers. It's a Thanos story. He's the hero of that story. He wins at the end. I mean, it's an ending that is not good for the people that we've come to know and love over the years, but it's not their story. It's Thanos' story. So Endgame, conversely, is not Thanos' movie. I would argue it is, it's 3 people's movies. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America. It's their movie. I mean, yes, there are plenty of other components into that, but I argue it's a story specifically about those 3. Even boil it down a little bit more. Iron Man and Captain America, it's their film. It's about their coming together and reconciling their differences to overcome the greater evil. But no, I don't consider them a trilogy. I consider them a quadruplogy. Moses?
It's different. Yeah, I agree. Whenever I think of the Avengers movies, I think of the Ariana Grande song "Thank You Next," and the fact that you have One Taught Me Love, which is Avengers, One Taught Me Patience, which is Avengers: Age of Ultron, and One Taught Me Pain, which is, you could put like Infinity War and Endgame in all 3 of those categories, because the joy that certain moments brought to me, which is the interactions with all the different comic book characters that we haven't seen interact with each other. Patience, not so much patience during some of the parts of Endgame, but the pain that it left. Like, my buddy who's like the snap, man. That. Ooh.
I remember I was in Alaska when I saw Infinity War for the first time, and there was a big group of us that went to go see. I was at a comedy festival in Juneau, and I organized a large group because I was like, there's no way that I'm going to miss opening night for Avengers Infinity War, even though I'm in Alaska. So we went to a garbage movie theater. It was the only one there. It was an absolute terrible theater, but we got to see one of the first screenings, and oh man, I just remember the heaviness of walking out of the theater, and there was a long line of people waiting to get into our theater to go see it right after us, and we had a hard time talking about it, or rather not talking about it in front of people who were just on their way to go and see the movie. Yeah.
I saw Infinity War back-to-back screenings. So I saw it with my best friend growing up. And then I just realized at the end of the movie, I was just like, I have to get on the subway to go see it with my best friend who's a Marine again. So I have to go through this.
It's an emotional journey.
Again.
It's an emotional journey. Nerdzone says, do you... no, we already covered that. I'm annoyed about the vaccine right now because I can't get it in the UK because of my age, and I need it because I'm one of the invulnerable... I think you meant you are one of the vulnerable with weak immunity. Yes. That is incredibly frustrating when you're... I don't know your exact age. In the United States, I think... Moses, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, isn't it 12 years old? If you're 12 or older, you can get the vaccine in the United States, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
And I believe, Nerdzone, that you're over 12.
Gonna Google this.
Yeah, Google it. Look it
this.
up. Let me know. Let's move on to the next comment. But yeah, man, that's incredibly infuriating. It's frustrating, but hang in there, man. Pretty soon, I think the WHO is going to start issuing like younger, like how young we can administer the vaccine to. So hang in there, man. Nerdzone, I am the DC guy of the channel since you guys love Marvel more. It's true. I mean, like, I've been very vocal in this and saying that my brother is the DC fan of my family. He reads all the DC comics. He knows much more about the DC characters. And I bring Marvel to the table. I don't know, I've been more attracted to the more colorful, to the more, but then again, like my brother he's attracted to the more dark stories that DC offers and the dark characterizations. And it is an interesting contrast when you have these large, all the characters are larger than life, but in DC, you're dealing with actual gods. In the Marvel universe, I mean, yeah, you have a few gods, but there's a lot more gods in DC. Who can do a lot more godlike things too. So, but yeah, it's an interesting contrast. Moses, what's your quick take on DC versus Marvel, just for you personally?
Listen, I love good stories. It's just that I've been attracted to. One of my first costumes actually was a Batman. So if it wasn't because I was born in '87, so it was during the whole Batman craze, and like he was becoming to be big. But Spider-Man stuck out to me because of the colors and everything like that. But I just love good storytelling. For a long time, my favorite superhero movies were the Nolan Batman movies. I still really love what the Joker movie. I still really love the Joker movie, and I do love. And we were saying this before we got on air. My favorite DCEU movies are like the Suicide Squad, Shazam, and Aquaman. Variously different from the Marvel movies. So it's not that I dislike DC. Marvel just has a better track record with their characters, and honestly, the Marvel characters are a bit more relatable. Because in a sense that the DC characters are more gods among men, and Marvel is more these ordinary people who through happenstance or tragedy, are thrust this
Right.
power upon them.
I think that's one of the reasons that I'm connecting really strongly right now with Wolverine, with Logan. One of the characteristics about that character that I connect so strongly with is that here's this guy who just wants to be left alone. He has this ability. He doesn't care about it. He's been experimented on. It's been forced upon him. He's been forced to do terrible, terrible things. And he has a very tragic backstory. But at the end of the day, he just wants to be left alone. He just wants to be a farmer. He wants to live out in the middle of the woods. Just leave him alone. And when he gets put into these situations through no fault of his own, he realizes that he is the only person who has the power to do something about it. And as begrudging as he is, he does what needs to be done. And he's like, look, if I don't step in, people are going to get hurt really badly. And so he steps in and does what needs to be done. Even though he doesn't want to do it, he does it because that's what the definition of a hero is. And I connect with that. Like a lot of ways, I just want to be left alone. I just want to live my life the way I want to live it. But every now and again, you see injustice happen, and you need to stand up, whether you like it or not. As much as it hurts, and as much as uncomfortable as the situation may be, that's what it means to be a hero. So.
Yep. Fun fact: I'm literally the height of comic book Wolverine. So like I'm 5'2". I've got the sideburns and I've got this. So it's just like I've gone literally got metal in me. So it's just like I'm literally Black Wolverine.
That's
it's
perfect.
Just
That's
what
perfect.
It is.
Have you ever cosplayed as Wolverine? Well,
yeah, several times.
There it is. I've got my Colossus cosplay. It's still.
We should do that. We should meet up and do that one time. Like, we'll even do like a picture of like the fastball special and everything.
Love that. I would absolutely love that. All right, let's jump back into these comments. Nerdzone says, in fact, I would like to ask Moses if he had the chance to direct a superhero movie, who would it be, and what would you do to make the character unique? Ooh, Moses, what superhero movie would you like to direct, and what would you do with the character that would make it unique? What an interesting question.
I like that question. I kind of did a pitch already for like what I would do for like the whole Black Panther situation. So I would I would honestly like to direct. I'm going to go the easy. I'm going to take the alley-oop and the fact that I would love to do a Spider-Man movie because that was, again, my gateway drug to comics and everything. But I would really like to take Tom Holland's Spider-Man and address a lot of what the comments that have been said online and just make him his own superhero and show him, because a lot of the times he's been lumbered toward Iron Man and everything. But I would kind of like to not only emancipate him from that shackle in a sense, but also start to age up his character a little bit. Like, see him in college, like dealing with more villains that really push Spider-Man to being the hero that he's capable of in the comics. Like, I would love to do like the Green Goblin arc, or like even introduce Venom proper, because Venom, the whole Venom storyline was how I got into Spider-Man, and I remember being legitimately terrified that he's not going to make it. So I want to introduce that terror, that kind of I want that. I want that so much. I want that so
really
much.
Cool. I'd like to see that too. Nerdzone says, just to make the What If series more sad, Chadwick Boseman was the first actor to jump aboard because he wanted to play Black Panther as much as he wanted to. I actually didn't know that. I didn't realize that Chadwick Boseman was so excited to reprise his character in What If that he was the first person to say yes to the project. But again, that makes total sense. Moses, are you familiar with this?
No, I just found out about this, but that makes total sense because, oh man, man, it's coming up a year since we lost him. It's just like it still hurts.
Also knowing that, like, how long he had been living with cancer, and of course, nobody truly knows when their end is coming. I'm sure for Chadwick Boseman, the writing was probably on the wall. So at the time that he walked into the recording studio to record his lines for T'Challa for What If, I'm completely speculating here. This is all conjecture. Nobody knows, but it might be safe to say that he may have known this was his last time ever playing the character.
And it's also fitting because we don't give these actors enough credit for going through the physical demands of being a superhero on film. Like, just the long days, the physical conditioning, just being in Atlanta, they normally shoot in Atlanta. So,
Heat
and
the
that
exhaustion.
the heat and the suit, putting it on.
Yeah.
I cosplayed as T'Challa in that suit, so it's not an easy it's not an easy thing to do. So it's just like, now imagine him putting on that suit day after day, and just so it makes sense that if I can just lend my voice to T'Challa, why not?
Exactly. Why not? Exactly. In Nerdzone, you are correct. Like, that makes the situation a little bit more tragic. Nerdzone says, plus how happy he was for what he was going through, which I can relate to. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we literally just touched on that. Being in that recording studio, and again, speculating that he knew that this was most likely the last time he was ever going to play the character. How grateful he must have been to be able to do what he does, and just to, as an actor myself, or even just as a human being, there's a certain level of satisfaction and accomplishment that when you're allowed to do something, when you never thought that you'd be given the opportunity to do that thing again, is ridiculously rewarding and satisfying. And yeah, I think that's beautiful and incredible. Let's move on. Mamta Sane. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Mamta Sane says, hey, Mamta Sane, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for being part of the conversation. And yeah, thanks for just dropping by to say hello. So excited to have more voices and more people on the channel with more thoughts and opinions, and giving us more things to talk about, because that's what the show is all about. That's what the show is all about, is just having more voices and more opinions, and giving people that opportunity to speak what's on their mind, and create the community of people to talk about the stuff that they love talking about. Nerdzone says, the MCU was boring me out until Loki came out. Uh-oh. Your next comment is slightly connected. WandaVision was overrated, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier was good, but didn't wow me. It was too short. Moses, in some ways, I can kind of relate to that. Falcon and Winter Soldier had some really cool stuff that came out of it, but for the most part, it was just kind of meh. It was okay. What else? I loved WandaVision. Right now, I think WandaVision is still my favorite of the three. Loki was really cool. It wasn't... Here's the thing. Before any of these shows started coming out on Disney+, it had been reported, and it was being widely talked about on the internet, that these shows were going to hold the same production value as the movies. And that's not true. While cinematically they looked like the cinematography is what I'm referring to. The cinematography made these shows look like they fit in the MCU. While that is true, the production value was still not the same. There was in episode 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we see the Falcon kind of like zooming down through the Grand Canyon or whatever mountains those were. That whole sequence looked incredible, but you could tell through the editing that it was not the same production value. The fight sequences were not of the same production value. Loki, while looking incredible, look at the story. It does not have the same kind of budget for a 6-episode arc. For a 6-episode story arc, it does not have the same kind of budget that even, let's say, Captain Marvel has or had. The story was kept in, a few select places, mostly indoors, in the same rooms, and long sequences of dialogue. Interesting dialogue. But yeah, the production value was it wasn't where we kind of thought we were being promised it was. So when I hear these comments from Nerd Zone, saying the MCU was boring me out until Loki came out, WandaVision was overrated, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier wasn't good, but it was good, but it didn't wow me. It was too short. I mean, I kind of see where he's coming from. I disagree with WandaVision. I absolutely loved it, except for the last episode. Last episode, I took issue with. But I don't know. How did these comments sit with you?
Well, first off, it didn't it's okay if we disagree. I've been on the MCU boat for a while, so it's just like outside of a couple instances, I largely enjoy it. I love each of them for vastly different reasons. Except I will say this though, each of the Marvel series has one distinct problem. It's like the series will do well. It'll do well for the first 5 episodes, and then there's just something about the last episode that just doesn't sit well with me. I guess that's the best way I can, for the sake of time and for the sake of just getting into spoilers. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But on the whole, I do enjoy myself. It's just that I just wish that hopefully the next series sticks the landing the same way that it does for the first 5 episodes.
I think that's the big concern that a lot of people are having right now. As I'm looking at our comment section right now, we have a lot more comments to get through, and I have already had a lot to drink. So I tell you what we're going to do right now, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a 3-minute break so we can go use the facilities, kind of rest the vocal cords for literally 3 minutes, and we will be right back. right, you guys, thank you so much for letting us have that break real quick. Let's jump back into the comment section here. Nerdzone says, only anime I liked was Death Note. I like the style, but some anime stories I'm just not into. He continues, Batman Gotham Knight is actually canon to the Dark Knight universe. So Batman Gotham Knight is another anime Batman story. It was like a short film that they put out. But yeah, Moses, I'm not all that familiar with Death Note. I've heard of it. I've heard of it. That's about as far as it goes. Are you familiar with Death Note?
Not very. That's not very. That's in one of my blind spots.
I mean, I think we're all pretty much in agreement here. Anime is just one of those areas that's just, it doesn't speak to our heart and souls.
I mean, I'm getting into it, so it's not like, I mean, you can ask me again in like a couple of years when I've kind of like explored it a little bit further, but I'm very intrigued by it. So it's not to say that I'm not for it. It's just something that I haven't fully explained, and I can't comment on something that I don't fully know.
I appreciate that. Nerdzone says, I'm watching Star Wars Visions because Star Wars has made a huge impact on my life. The wheels on my wheelchair are Star Wars posters. That's really cool. I buy merch and I go to the midnight premieres. Yeah, man. Like midnight premieres, when those were still happening, and I guess to a certain extent they still kind of are happening. I have been going, I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but in New York, yes, there's still midnight showings, but the night before, they've started doing like 7 o'clock showings, 8 o'clock showings, 6 o'clock. There's even 5 p.m. showings Thursday evening, the night before the movie comes out. So that's like, I just got my tickets to Shang-Chi, which is Thursday night, 7 o'clock, the night before it comes out. So that's kind of how, and I assume LA is very much the same way. I'm sure a lot of the bigger cities in the United States are doing that. I don't know what it's like in the UK or London or Edinburgh, or even Dublin. They're larger cities, so they may be doing that Thursday the night before model. But yeah, man, like you have Star Wars posters on the wheels of your wheelchair. That's brilliant. That is absolute genius.
My question in Nerd Zone is, how can we see these posters on your wheelchair? Because that would, that is just, it's touching and like.
Nerd Zone, you have my email address. So if you're still watching right now, if you have any photos available, can you send the photos of the wheels of your wheelchair? Just send me an email and I'll try to bring those up before we end the show. Because that would be... Here, let me keep my my email open so I can see when I get a notification, if indeed I do get a notification. And look at this. Great. So I just got notifications for other things. So cool. So I'll keep that open. But yeah, if you have those photos available, please send them over. Yeah, I'd very much love to see it, as would Moses. The sequels disappointed me. I think we're talking about the Star Wars sequels. Disappointed me because the point Moses made, it is based on the Skywalkers, and the fact that they killed them all off was done exactly. My goodness, how do you tell a Skywalker saga story without Skywalkers in it? I mean, I guess you could say Ben Solo was technically a Skywalker, but he also kind of wasn't. I don't know. Yeah, you're. Ugh. Oh, I will say, I will give it up to The Force Awakens. I unabashedly loved that movie. I still do. I love that movie. I like the colors. I like the look and the feel of it. The story is incredibly generic, but I really dug it. A few years ago, I think I liked it better than the originals, but now I'm kind of starting to side. Yeah, maybe I like Return of the Jedi the best. I think Return of the Jedi is still my number one.
Yeah,
great
same.
movies. Nerdzone says Spectacular Spider-Man is on Netflix. I've watched it all, and it's my favorite Spider-Man series. It's a shame it got canceled because of big bad Disney. Yeah, I mean that sort of thing happens a lot, especially in animation. My goodness, how many animated shows that are excellent just get canceled? Live action too, but I feel like it happens more in animation.
Yeah, I still maintain to this day that the story arc in the Spectacular Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man story been put to TV or film, bar none, or long-form story, because I maintain that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie of all time. My personal opinion. Yeah, I was very, very disappointed to see when it got canceled, because I know there were talks of a season 3, and the thing that I really liked about Spectacular Spider-Man is that it's very true to the Amazing Spider-Man comic books, while modernizing it and making it feel like its own thing. So I own the entire series on Blu-ray. So if you can search it out, like I don't know if it recently got onto Netflix here, but I know that last time I checked it wasn't on Netflix on the States here. So maybe that may be just a UK thing. But if you can somehow seek that out, if you're a Spider-Man head, you have to seek this out. You have to.
I'll check it out. I again, anime, so I'm not like I can't guarantee anything. But both of you guys are talking this up a lot. I just got an email from Nerdzone. I will.
Also, just so you know, incredible. It's animation.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was anime.
No. I just when I got into it, the animation style was kind of wonky. It took a little while for me to get used to, but I really liked it.
All right, Nerdzone just sent me the photo of his wheels with the Star Wars on the. So let's jump into the next comment, and Moses, while you're talking about it, I will. I'll work on bringing this picture over to the Computor. Let's see. Bad Batch is overrated. It's not great. It just got boring. Getting up at 8 every week to watch an episode of like 4 series on the same day. Yeah. I mean, I never watched. I'm really behind on my Star Wars animated shows, especially. I never watched. Clone Wars. I never watched Clone Wars. I've watched the first episode multiple times, but yeah, Moses, where do you sit with these shows?
It's funny that one of my producers, Jerome, for a project that I've been working on, has been trying to get me on to watch the Clone Wars because of the last few episodes. Like, I know that, like, apparently I have a difficult time because I didn't grow up on Star Wars. It's difficult for me to kind of like really delve any deeper than the movies type of thing. But I know it's one thing that I'll probably get into one day, but I'm just taking my time in getting there.
Oh, yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, 1,000%. Let's jump into our next. Nerdzone says, wait, you guys are doing booster shots already? We've had them for weeks. Well, I think therein shows the competence of the United States government. That's all. That's all the more I'm going to say about that. Nerdzone says, I want friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, not sidekick to bigger hero Spider-Man. He goes on, oh my gosh, we have to talk about your James Cameron Spider-Man on your channel, Mike. James Cameron Spider-Man. I'll look that up in a second. Yeah, Moses, do you want to comment a little bit more on Nerd Zone's comments about your comments of creating your own Spider-Man?
I would just like to. I loved Spider-Man when he was. Well, I do love Spider-Man in any way, shape, or form, but I feel like Spider-Man needs to get back to his roots in just being like, for the little guy, not necessarily trying to live in the shadow of Tony Stark, kind of just this superhero who's kind of doing it by the seat of his pants, trying to maintain like a decent love life, trying to like keep a roof over his head, trying to look out for his Aunt May, trying to who's smart and competent and just trying to figure out his own way and doing things, and not necessarily being an Avenger
Right.
per se. And just kind of, just doing it on his own. And like, I want Spider-Man to grow up, and I'd love to be eventually, if the universe allows, I'd love to be like the director that kind of points him in that direction. And I do it in like just the way, of course, that not only honors what John Watts and the team at Marvel have done, but kind of just what and just what's true to the comics, and because that's the Spider-Man I love. That's the Spider-Man I love, and I know a lot of people want.
Same here. I want to jump in real quick. So we were Nerd Zone was talking about how he has some Star Wars stickers or posters rather on the wheels of his wheelchair. So now this is a Gotta Love Them Movies exclusive. Gotta Love Them Movies exclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the wheels. Star Wars posters on Nerd Zone's chair. We have it right here. Nerd Zone, I have cropped the photo a little bit. As you've pointed out before, you were still technically a minor, so I want to leave your identity intact, your facial identity.
That's fair.
But yeah, right here we have the wheels of your chair. That is so cool, man.
That is amazing. Whoever did that is insane.
I agree. I agree. That is really cool, dude. Your next challenge. Maybe this is too much on the nose, and maybe it's just because I'm too much of an X-Men fan. But dude, I need the X there. I need the Charles Xavier X there at some point. And that's X-Men has always been my favorite superhero team. I like the life lessons and just what X-Men have come to represent. It's there. It's in my heart. I love it. I love it so much. All right, let's move on. Let's take some more comments. Moses, are you familiar with James Cameron's Spider-Man? Tell me.
Slightly.
Tell me more.
It's been a while since I know of it, but apparently Leonardo DiCaprio was going to be Spider-Man, or rumored to be Spider-Man. There was going to be there might have been a projected sexy scene with Spider-Man and Mary Jane. Again, this has been a while since I've really entertained it. I know that there's a draft out there that exists.
Okay,
but,
so I just Googled it, and this is what
since
Google has to say. It says James Cameron's Spider-Man. Spider-Man was a planned but ultimately failed film, was to be directed by James Cameron in the mid-'90s. Several plot elements from Cameron's scriptment, were kept by David Koepp in his script for the 2002 film Spider-Man. So, of course, the screenplay was by James Cameron. It was based on the characters created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, and it was starring Leonardo DiCaprio. This is how I miss this is unconscionable to me, but also, wow, that's kind of cool. To me, my knee-jerk reaction is that this exists in the same universe as as Nicolas Cage's Superman movie. Tim Burton, Nicolas Cage. Even though like production had been done, pre-production had been actually accomplished and planned on the Tim Burton Superman movie. Ultimately never came to fruition. Same thing with this. So it kind of lives in the same universe there. That's kind of cool. You know what would be really cool? Is if for like an Easter egg in Spider-Man No Way Home, if they actually got James Cameron to direct like a 30-second clip of like, hey, Spider-Man, the movie, with like Leonardo DiCaprio playing Spider-Man, but as like a commercial that's playing on TV in like somebody else's Spider-Verse or something, like in that multiverse. I would love to see that.
Or even they could do it in the Spider-Verse sequel that's coming up, because it's just like that way you're not encumbered by the obstacle of time.
Oh man, dude, can you imagine? That'd be incredible. I would love to see that. James Cameron.
Yeah,
You what now?
Yeah, I love Into the Spider-Verse for so many reasons. I love that you get to see and in a sense, it shows why Spider-Man is a capable hero in his own right, and he literally saves all the universes, and it's not a story that's encumbered by who the Spider-Man is dating, as seems to be the trope in all the live-action movies.
Well, it's a trope for a reason. We have a whole bunch more comments, so let's get cracking, shall we? Nerdzone says, I feel like if they are going to delay No Way Home, can they please delay Doctor Strange 2? Again, like it feels like that was a motivating factor with Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that's all the more I'm going to say about that, because there's a connection there. There's a connection there. So if one leads into the other, it seems like that's an interesting talking point. Nobody's, from what I've seen, nobody's talking about, well, if they delay Spider-Man, are they also going to have to delay Doctor Strange? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Most likely. Nerdzone says, because it is... Oh, there's a fly. That was weird. A fly literally just landed on my hand. That scared me. Because it is obviously going to tie into No Way Home. And vice versa. Exactly. Nerdzone says, fun news, the Batman is getting a comic book box set that has the comics that inspired the film. Those comics being Batman Year One, Batman Ego, and Batman The Long Halloween. Dude, go get them. Get them. If that is a box set, get it. Because again, I think we talked about like last week or the week before about what DC Comics, or like what classic Batman stories you need to read. Long Halloween, I can't stress enough. Batman Year One is really cool. Long Halloween is between that and Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Best, in my opinion, best Batman stories ever. And of course, also The Killing Joke. But yes, this is a box set. Go get it. Go get it. Almum, real quick. Sorry, Moses. Have you read Long Halloween or Year One or Batman Ego?
Not entirely, but that's definitely. But if that is a box set, that's one I'm going to quote. That's one I'm going to cop immediately.
Also, Hush.
I have read The Dark Knight Returns though, but it is really good. I just really wish that Batman v Superman was more like that and only that. But
don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
We won't open up that. We won't open up that Pandora's box.
And in that regard, Nerd Zone, I do want to address an email that you sent me while we're having kind of like a public forum discussion here talking about comic books. Previously, you had sent me an email asking me what Marvel comics, because I'm more the Marvel guy, you're the DC guy, what Marvel comics I would recommend that you put into your collection as well. I'm working on a short list for you, so I'm not ignoring the email, just as a personal note back and forth. All right, where do we go? Nerdzone says, I'm going to get the absolute version of Year One. Haven't read it yet, but I know I sound like an idiot. But I have read Batman, Ego, and The Long Halloween, both great stories. Yeah, they're excellent. Absolutely excellent. Nerd Zone, but I'm going to sell my Long Halloween TPB. What is TPB? Do you know what TPB means? Moses, do you know what TPB is? Yeah, I guess we'll figure it out. Context clues. But I'm going to sell my Long Halloween TPB to get the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale omnibus. Ooh, which includes Haunted Night, Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and Catwoman. Yeah! A Night in Rome. Yeah! That... Worth it.
Trade paperback.
Worth it. Trade paperback. Thank you. Did you just look it up?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, totally worth it. Nerd Zone says, I know how dumb this is going to sound, but we need more comic characters with disabilities. That doesn't sound dumb at all.
Not at all. Look, no, no, not at all. Like, no, like, pack that statement in. That does not sound dumb at all. It's just like, we're living in a time where, like Batman said in like The Dark Knight Rises, a hero could be anyone. So it could be a black person, it could be an Asian person, it could be a Hispanic person, it could be like a person with disabilities. It could be literally be anyone of any color, of any background.
Any sexuality.
So, any sexuality. It could be anyone. So just to say that it looks like only a certain way, it's limiting. It's limiting in the fact that of storytelling, because it's limiting in the fact of storytelling and the limiting in the fact of reach, because it's like, if anybody can be a hero, why not a hero with a disability?
And this plays into the discussion that we've had before on this channel of, with more diverse storytelling means the better quality of stories. The world is changed. If these stories don't change at the same rate that the world changes, then these stories are going to be left behind. Yes, there's classic stories, but the classic stories, we need great contemporary stories as well. And with the more different routes, as you say, more black characters, more Asian characters, more transgender characters, more characters with disabilities, you have more places to go. If all you have is the heterosexual white male, you're limiting your storytelling. We've done that for centuries. We've been doing this for centuries. Let's branch out. Let's see what other perspectives we can bring into these stories that we love so much and find so much inspiration from.
currently getting my most, so out of the Marvel Disney Plus things that are coming out, I'm currently getting what I was most looking forward to, which is What If, and I had my second one, which was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. My next one that I'm honestly looking forward to is the Kamala Khan series, because it's like you're getting a Muslim American female superhero who's a teenager, and it's just that. Just seeing what that looks like is going to be really interesting.
I agree. So let's jump back into the comment from Nerd Zone, because we only got halfway through it, and then we took like a boom, sharp left turn. I know how dumb this is going to sound, and it does not sound dumb. We need more comic characters with disabilities. The only comic character with my disability is an alternative universe version of the Riddler. Let us not forget Oracle, who is Barbara Gordon after she was shot in the stomach and paralyzed by the Joker in The Killing Joke. So she was Batgirl, and then because of her injury, thanks to the Joker, she now was confined to a wheelchair and became Oracle. I know there's others.
Daredevil.
Yeah. Technically, yes. Loss of sight. That is true. And there are others, but not at the same ratio. Definitely nowhere near as the same ratio as other more able-bodied heroes, which is disappointing.
I will put a plug in, not quite a superhero, but I saw A Quiet Place Part 2 last night as it's leaving the theaters, and just the little girl with who's deaf. That is like, I want to see like a superhero that's kind of like not who has like a cochlear implant or just like who just can't quite hear very well. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's one, but that I'm not quite as apt to. I'm sure somebody in the comics.
Well, you know, in the Eternals, we're getting our very first deaf superhero, played by a deaf actress. So I think that, and again, like the more it starts happening, the more it's going to continue to happen, and it will just unfold and snowball, and we will get more. But yeah, Nerd Zone, to your point, you're right. We need more. We would like more. There needs to be more representation. There just needs to be. Nerdlone says in Brian Azzarello, in Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo's Joker. Oh, you're referring to the disabled version of Riddler. Yes. Sorry, I was like, wait, what's the context? Yes. Nerdzone, I only like Muppets Most Wanted for one thing, Ricky Gervais. He was the only redeeming part of that movie. And even that is a stretch. Ricky Gervais is a global treasure. And, yeah, I don't think the world has enough Ricky Gervais. Oh, dear, where did we go? I hate it when this happens. You swipe up and everything goes away. Okay, Ricky Gervais, here we go. Nerdzone, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker midnight premiere was the most waste of my life I've ever done. I watched it again 2 weeks later and it was still bad. I haven't seen that movie since the theater. I remember walking out of the theater thinking, that was kind of a fun movie. But then it sat with me and I started thinking, yeah, but was it a fun movie? Moses, thoughts? And that's all the more we need to hear.
Yeah, it committed a cardinal sin for movies for me, in that it didn't commit to what it didn't commit to the premise that was promised. Within 41 minutes of the movie, I had mentally checked out of the movie, and that's all I'm gonna say. We can talk about it. We can talk about it offline, but. Just on camera, that's about all I can say.
There's a YouTuber named John Campia, and I've been like, if you like the format of my show, I've ripped off this format from John Campia. This is his format, like the whole like, hey, let's talk about these movie news, and like even down to his quotes of, I want to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. That's everything's a ripoff from John Campia. He's influenced me and inspired me to create a show that I really enjoy doing in the style of John Campia. And I'm sure this format does not belong to him, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So John Campia has a video from back. Let's see. So Rise of Skywalker came out December of 2019, right? So I think it was January or February of 2020, he did like a 25-minute breakdown as to why he really does not just he doesn't like Rise of Skywalker, but why he believes Skywalker is a bad film. And he breaks it down very methodically and has like a lot of really great points to say. And the biggest fault of that movie is Deus Ex Machina. Things happen in that movie just because they need to happen. Well, they need to find was it like the dagger, like the Sith dagger in the cave? It doesn't matter how much Luke Skywalker searched for that thing. It was literally just laying on the ground. And one of the characters was like, oh, what's that over there? Oh, is that the dagger? Oh, there it is. We just happened to find it. Da, 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 da. And then we take that dagger to like the water planet with like the raging oceans, and there's like the Star Destroyer just sitting there in the ocean. And you use the dagger to like line up with the Star Destroyer.
I mean, we're at the point where it's like we're just talking about part of the movie now, but it's just like that has got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. It's just like you are trying to rule the galaxy and like overthrow it, and then you have a clue with a very just like. And just imagine just the possibility of you had to be at that exact point at that exact time to hold it at the exact level. Just what are you doing?
You have to,
like,
the whole story of that movie is you have to go to the place to get the thing, so you can go to that place and get that thing, so you can go to that place and get that thing, so that you can find the secrets.
It's like it's like a literal walking video game as opposed to
yes, it is.
It's just like.
It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it offline. I don't want to get.
Yeah, but Nerd Zone, when you say that was the most waste of my life I've ever done, yeah, you're not wrong. Nerd Zone says I actually like DC because I relate to Batman the most out of any hero. Batman, even when you talk about Marvel characters, is one of the most relatable characters. Now, granted, very few of us are billionaires and like ridiculous billionaires. But aside from that, he's a normal person who went through a traumatic experience, who decided to do something about it. At his very core, that's who Batman is. And at his very core, that's who Spider-Man is. The difference between Batman and Spider-Man is that Spider-Man had two things happen to him. One, this incredible, fantastical thing where he was bitten by a spider. And two, he had the tragedy of losing his uncle, and it became his own fault. It was his own fault that he was the cause of his uncle's demise. He could have prevented that, but he chose to be selfish, which resulted in his uncle passing. But then you have Bruce Wayne, who through no fault of his own, he was just a kid, a rich kid, out to the movies with his parents, or to the theater, depending on whichever version you're referring to. He was just out to the theater with his parents, and through no fault of his own, his parents were shot and killed. And it was it was Joe Chill that killed his parents. Yes, it was the Joker who killed his parents. Who, again, depending on whichever version of Batman you're relating to or referring to, at the heart of it, it was the city of Gotham that killed his parents. It wasn't any one person. It was the city of Gotham that killed his parents. And he decided to do something about it.
The only thing I wish in the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, aka Arbat, is that I do not want to see his parents get killed again. I've seen it so many times. It's like let Ma and Pa Wayne rest in peace. Let's not have them killed in an alley again. We've seen it so many times.
I have a feeling that we're not going to see those events, but I think the movie is going to start, because we know that this is the live cinematic version of Batman Year One, essentially. And it's like Batman Year One and Hush kind of like combined a little bit. So I think the movie is going to start. This is my own personal opinion, based on the trailer, based on what we know about the character. I think it may actually start immediately after the events of the death of his parents. Maybe we won't see it, but it'll start shortly thereafter.
All you need is just him sitting there in the police wherever with the police, evidence of the photos of it happening. I don't need to see the actual event happening again. That's what I'm talking about. Just like, it's too much.
It is too much. Let's see. I would like to make a Batman story that would have Alfred die and have an effect on Batman and change him. Was that, correct me if I'm wrong, but was that not the story of a particular story arc later on? Maybe I'm making it up. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, something like that would have great consequences because that is his essentially his father figure. I mean, yeah, his partner in crime, but also, or partner in fighting crime, I guess. But also, look at the death of Jason Todd. That had a huge effect on Batman. And then, of course, they kind of went back and changed the story. And, oh, he's not actually dead. He's now the Red Hood. Okay, well, don't get me wrong. I love the Red Hood. But, like, I hate it. Like, nothing is ever permanent. Death is never permanent in comics. And that's annoying.
Except for Uncle Ben. R.I.P. Uncle Ben.
Very few people. But, yes, Uncle Ben remained dead. Let's see, where'd we go? WandaVision isn't just isn't my thing, and it was slow. I can get behind that. I loved it unabashedly from start to finish. But yeah, I could, like, there's a lot of people that WandaVision just wasn't their thing. And you found it kind of slow. I liked the slow burn. I loved the mystery of, like, oh, what's the next thing? And then every episode ended with this cliffhanger, and we're like, oh, well, I want to know more. But I loved it. Nerdzone says, I grew up with the MCU. These characters have grown up with me since I was little, and I wish it ended after Endgame. Endgame seems like an inevitable ending. Like, it was a culmination, and in a lot of ways, the MCU did kind of end with Endgame. And now we're getting a slow rebirth, and Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios and even Alan Horn, to a certain extent, are left with the job of recrafting and rebuilding the MCU from scratch. And yes, there will be a lot of these characters that will transfer over, but yeah, for the most part, they kind of have. That's why I'm excited for Shang-Chi, because they do have to reestablish the new MCU. They have to get us excited for it again. And they can't just rely on the previous excitement. Moses?
I will say this. Endgame did in fact end the MCU, and just with Loki, it kind of was a solid end to the MCU and gave birth to the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse,
yes.
to say, because it's just like the whole concept of just a singular universe is now dead. Now you have like many different versions of universes and characters. Yep. So it's just like we just call it the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse.
I think that's exactly what Phase 4 and to an extent Phase 5 is going to be. I think that's exactly what it's going to be. All right, how many? We got a few more comments. Okay, we got a few more. So let's zip through a few more of these. WandaVision, Nerdzone. Nerdzone says, I sent the email. Yes, I got it. And yes. Oh, so once again, here is Nerdzone's wheelchair with the Star Wars poster affixed to his wheels, which is just it's just great. It is, I dare I say, perfection. It is lovely. So thank you for that. Nerd Zone, the Clone Wars finale season or final season was let me try this again. The Clone Wars final season, as a fan, was so emotional. The final episode broke me down into tears, and the last 4 episodes are happening during Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, again, having never seen it, I've only been told of like the greatness that is the Clone Wars, and I love those kinds of shows. That like, Harry Potter did that to me. When I saw the finale of Harry Potter, like you just get worked up and so emotional, and because you spend so much time with these characters. Same thing with Parks and Rec. Even though I binged Parks and Rec, you get so attached to these characters. The finales become just so incredibly emotional. Nerdzone says, like fans, I want a version of episode 3 that includes the last 3 episodes of Clone Wars. Again, having never seen it, I can't really comment on it. Moses, did you watch Clone Wars at all?
No, I have to get into that. Yeah, I have to get into it.
You and me both. Maybe I'll have you over sometime and we'll just start. Maybe that'll kind of be like our weekly thing. You come over, we watch some Nerd Zone. We watch some Clone Wars. We'll probably chit chat with Nerd Zone while we do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like definitely I'm down, but I have to get this. I feel like the first time we meet up, I have to get this vitriol for like the sequel trilogy off my chest, just so that way we can just yell about it and just have snacks and whatnot.
Oh yeah, we need a good ranting session. Oh, yeah. Last Jedi. What did you do? What did you do with our lives?
Oh yeah.
Nerdzone says 6 years of damage on the wheels thanks to dogs, and my mom made them. Oh, that's awesome. Your mom made them. I want Batman wheels for the new chair in October because I've had this one for 6 years, so I can't. Oh, nice. You're getting some new wheels, man. A friend of mine who was actually on the show last week, Michael G, is paralyzed from his neck down, essentially. And I remember when because he needs a motorized wheelchair. In fact, you know Michael G.
Probably if I've seen him.
Yeah. We've all been in the same room together. I guarantee it. Anyway.
Okay.
Michael G, when he got his new motorized wheelchair, it was just like, because his previous one was great. I mean, it worked well. It functioned and everything. But his new model, my goodness. Like, that thing was just, it was like an electric chair on steroids. And I remember his excitement. It just kind of like, I'm getting the new chair. It was awesome. It was really cool. So, dude, I'm really excited for you. It's going to be awesome. And, yeah, as you say, let's get some Batman wheels on there. I'm still holding out. For some Charles Xavier wheels. I know it's a little too on the nose, but hey, that's who I am. Biffer DeHobbit says, cool channel. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming by and checking us out for a little bit. And again, what do you want to talk about? Because we're talking Fast and Furious, we're talking Shang-Chi, we're talking Marvel's What If, we're talking Chad Boseman's Legacy, we're talking Star Wars Visions, the new show coming out on Disney+, we're talking Venom, Let There Be Carnage, we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. Is it going to be pushed back? We've even started talking about like the extended Star Wars universe. We're talking James Cameron's Spider-Man movie that never came to fruition. So what do you want to talk about, Biffer DeHobbit? Thanks for just stopping by and chit-chatting. And also, what is it about the Hobbit movies that resonates with you? Or Lord of the Rings movies that resonates with you? I'm interested to know. Nerd Zone on that note says Biffer is the dwarf. So I always thought, why is your name Biffer DeHobbit? Well, that's actually a great question. Biffer DeHobbit, maybe in an extended universe that no one's ever seen before. Maybe there is a Hobbit named Biffer. Who knows? I don't know. I can't pretend to have read all the books. Let's see. Nerdzone says, I rewatched Batman vs. Superman and I loved it. Yeah.
Oh, I have feelings. The things that movie did to me.
Oh man, where's my Batman figure? Where on this doll did you get hurt? So I know it's a family show. Yeah. So Batman versus Superman was not the movie I wanted it to be when it came out. It wasn't. It wasn't the movie a lot of people wanted it to be. Now, a lot of people loved it. But I will admit, in the years following 2017, or 17 or 16, doesn't matter, whenever it came out, in the years following Batman versus Superman.
16.
16, thank you. I have eventually come around to appreciating that movie for what it is. It's not my favorite Batman and or Superman film ever made, but I also kind of appreciate it for what it is. It's not, in my opinion, great. But if you take it at its surface level, it's okay. It's long, and the end is a complete mess. And for a movie called Batman versus Superman, there is very little of Superman versus Batman in it. So, is it a perfect movie? No. Is it an enjoyable watch? I would argue yes. If you can let go of what you want it to be. Now, Moses, you've got some very specific thoughts and opinions on this. Do share. Try to keep it to 32 minutes or less.
Okay. I feel like I have to somehow get myself to a point where I can rewatch it, but rewatch the director's cut of it. Because the theatrical cut for me just was like exactly not the movie that I wanted. It just wasn't for me. And I felt the same way about the Whedon cut of the Justice League, but I somehow got myself in the mindset that I saw the Snyder cut, and I liked it noticeably more than the theatrical cut, because I could see where the vision was and what was. I appreciated that version more. That being said, there is no reason. I feel like the way that the DCU was the DCEU as constituted at the time of release did not warrant a 4-hour movie for this. It hadn't necessarily gained.
Are you talking Justice League, or are you talking Batman v Superman?
I'm talking Justice League. Just given the time span that the DCEU was released, as well as the track record at the time, it didn't warrant the goodwill of saying like, hey, we're gonna make a 4-hour movie type of thing, and you're gonna like it type of thing. Now, the only reason why I could say Marvel could get away with making a 2.5-hour movie, and then a 3-hour movie is because they had earned that goodwill and built up the track record to warrant such a release. If that makes sense.
I agree. No, yeah, we're on the same page. We're on the same page there. But specifically regarding Batman v Superman, yeah, I mean, I liked it better on the second watch, and I want to say I've seen it maybe 3 times in total. I don't know. Nerdzone says, if I'm honest, out of all these communities that have gotten respect this past year, disabilities still need to have their voices heard. You watch the Siremore video, Mike, so you know about my views. I do, yeah. So Nerdzone was interviewed on another YouTuber's channel called Siremore. I put in a previous video I posted the link for it. So if you just scroll through the channel, I think the title of the video is Nerd Zone on check out Nerd Zone on Siremore, I think is the title of the video. Anyway, so all the links are there. But yeah, what Siremore does is he interviews people through a VR chat room. And so Nerd Zone's avatar in this VR chat room was Waluigi. If you're familiar with the Super Mario Waluigi character. But yeah, it was a really interesting interview that we got to hear more about Nerd Zone's, well, first of all, who Nerd Zone is, and also we got to know more about your disability and how you deal with your disability with cerebral palsy, and how that's influenced choices in your life, and how you've chosen to deal with certain situations, and how people treat you, and how you go day to day. And it was really interesting. It was really inspiring. And also, thank you so much for sharing those viewpoints. But yes, I agree with you. More disabilities need to be, it needs to be a more normalized conversation, right? We need to normalize people in our society that look and sound and act differently, or rather, maybe that sounds. I don't say that to sound degrading. I say that to like try and be a little bit more inclusive, because we're all the same. Let's be honest, we're all the same. I am slightly overweight. Boy, that's a horrible comparison. No, strike that. Where I was going with that was well-intentioned, but it did not come out well, so let's just forget I said anything, shall we? Moving on.
I will say this, that the differently abled are probably one of the most maligned folks in society, and definitely deserve more care and more consideration than the general public gives. And that's not just in inclusivity and representation in media. It's just in how they live and how they're just quality of life. Like for example, even in New York City, I had someone who was differently able talk about just the struggle it is just to get around, like how inaccessible some subway stations are. Or just as people, it's just we tend to brush past them and ignore them. So it's like we need to, have more of that community vibe, and that we need to look out for one another. So, especially if someone is having trouble with something as simple as getting around. So it's like.
No, I 1,000% agree with you. And again, apologies for my ill comparisons. I was trying to make a point, and it did not come out the way, did not fall out of my mouth the way that I pictured in my head. So yeah, apologies for that. Nerdzone says the Riddler in that universe had cerebral palsy, though. Interesting. Oh, that again, like I'm not familiar with that run, but that kind of makes me want to check it out now. That actually sounds really interesting. Nerdzone says, talking about Robert Pattinson, my sisters are going through their Twilight phase. Can someone help me, please? Ooh, I'm interested to know how old your sisters are. First of all, but second of all, yeah, those Twilight movies and the books, like. I mean, I'm not going to say they're not good, but I am not a fan. I think I can objectively say the writing of those books are pretty terrible. Yeah. Did you ever read or watch the Twilight movies, Moses?
Well, I was young and stupid once, simply because it's like, I knew like the girl I was into was really into Twilight, so it's just like, I'll get to know her better by watching all the Twilight movies. Good plan. So all I can say is, like, if you need help with that, it's that Robert Pattinson and even Kristen Stewart is not them in Twilight. They're aware of like how it is, and acted in a certain way in them that is representative of the talents that each are capable of. I mean, folks forget that Anna Kendrick was in those movies, and look at how awesome she is.
Yeah.
So if you ever need kind of like a guide through those times, I'd say probably if you can stomach it, rewatch the Batman trailer like over and over while that's going on. And I think you might be underage for this, so I can't necessarily recommend this movie in good conscience. But I would say I'm not recommending The Lighthouse, but I'm recommending Good Time, which is with him in the Safdie Brothers movie, and it is my go-to movie recommending anyone to a good. My intro to. If anybody's having doubts of Robert Pattinson being a good Batman, I introduce them to that movie and only that movie.
I watched Good Time with some friends who were not fans of Robert Pattinson. And I was really trying to champion the cause of Robert Pattinson through this film. And my two friends that I was watching it with were just incessantly making fun of it. And so I have a weird relationship with that movie in that, like, I think Robert Pattinson did a pretty good job, but I also don't think he did a very good job because they were making fun of him their whole way through the film. So, but then again, I also don't think that they were giving him a fair shakedown. So I have a weird relationship with that film.
Okay.
Let's move on. And you guys, we my goodness, we're at 2 hours and 40 minutes into the show. So yeah, we gotta. Are we at the end of the comments? Oh, we're almost at the end. Yeah. We're almost at the end. Here we go. Okay, 2 more to go. People with disabilities are seen as unintelligent in most eyes. And a lot of us do not know how to look after ourselves. I mean, the general population, yeah, it has this negative viewpoint of, in Nerd Zone, in your video that you did, your interview with Sarmore, one of the things that you pointed out was that sometimes people are well-intentioned, but they don't ask for permission. They don't get consent. They just say, oh, here's someone with a disability. Let me do the nice thing and reach out and start helping them without saying, hey, would you like a hand? Do you want me to help? And you said that there have been multiple instances of people just grabbing your wheelchair and pushing you to where you need to go without actually asking you first. And yeah, to your point, there is this attitude of treating people with disabilities differently because we don't understand where they're coming from, or we don't understand what their disability is, or we think, oh, I can fix the situation temporarily anyway. But yeah, a lot of that needs to be talked about and discussed and be more made aware of.
Yeah, it's from what I gather, it's that there are a lot of barriers in the way that stand in lots of folks with disabilities who are trying to, live their lives and trying to take care of themselves. There are many people there, even in the pandemic, there just seemed to be a lot of, it kind of revealed since that a lot of people can work from home and can do the job very comfortably from home. Thinking about all the times that many disabled folks have tried to apply for jobs and just got taken one look at, saying, oh, this person's in crutches, this person is in a wheelchair, thereby they are incapable of doing such job. I mean, we're technically in a time now where we've proven that we can do our jobs perfectly working from home. I mean, if any quote-unquote able-bodied person can work from home, then why not someone with a disability? And I'm talking also about, hiring practices as well as just getting around as far as making spaces accessible for folks who are in a wheelchair or have any sort of disability.
Yeah, and you know, speaking about living in New York, my mother gets around in a chair, in like a motorized scooter, and when she came to visit New York, like a year, I think it was Christmas 2018. We had a hard time finding places to eat because she couldn't get the scooter into the store. And I'm like, guys, come on, like this is 2018. What are you doing? There was this one place that said, there was a sticker outside of the window and said, wheelchair accessible. Great, let's go eat there. But there were steps to go down into the restaurant. It was at like ground level, and you had to like step down. And we said, hey, do you have a ramp? And they said, oh, maybe. And the type of ramp that they had, you know, like on the backs of trucks, they'll have like 2 strips of like metal or whatever that they use to like push something up into the truck, but there's nothing in the middle.
Right.
That's what they had. They had like 2 strips of metal, but my mother's chair or my mother's scooter was like a 3-point scooter. So there's 1 wheel in the front and then 2 wheels in the back. So there's no way that scooter is going to get down these, like, what are you doing? But yeah, I mean, that's just a small example, but it's indicative of the attitude that we have towards anyone with a disability. And so, yes, going back to the heart of your comment, Nerd Zone, it's important that we normalize the conversation of disabilities and how do we bring awareness to this and just get people to stop walking around with their heads up their butts.
Yeah, it's just bringing people to the table and like being able to know. It's like, I have this saying, it's like, I can't fully love you until I know you type of thing. So it's like, you can write all of the, oh, we are so inclusive and we have all these directives and initiatives that are going to make life more inclusive for all and everything. And we can make all the blanket statements in the world. But until we actually have people at the table who live with this certain condition and come to a consensus of what is needed, what is wrong, how we can correct the problem, so that way we can truly make it a better world for all, then we're just wasting our breath. It's all just words.
So yeah, I think what's the practical application of this? Let's walk away from this conversation and try to actually, in our own personal lives, try to think of like what are ways that we can, you know, bring more light and more attention to these situations, and whether that's through more comic characters or through more characters on the screen with disabilities. Yeah, like how can we normalize this conversation and get to a point where we can, as you say, Moses, like love the person once you get to know the person. So anyway, you guys, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of today's show. Thank you, like again, as we do every week, huge thanks to Nerd Zone for all of your comments and for giving us so much more to talk about. My goodness, here we are 2 hours and 48 minutes into the show. I think next week we're going to have to find a happy medium. What are some ways to kind of like shorten this up a little bit, or at least break things up? This discussion went on a little lengthy, and as you know, I share an office with my favorite person in the world, my soon-to-be wife. So she's been doing all of her work outside of the office, but like in the living room. So we need to fix this situation a little bit more. But yeah, again, thank you so much. Huge thank you to Moses Akempta for being on the show again. Moses, one more time, can you plug your projects coming up, please?
So I've got a couple films that are in the Chain Film Festival that's going to be taking place this weekend. I'll send the links to Mike that you can check out. I've also got another project which is near and dear to my heart, which is These Roots, which is a which is which is me shooting and editing a wonderful episodic edutain is a okay. Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it short for time, but like These Roots is about a wonderful person who is a living historian. Her name is Cheney McKnight, and she gives viewers a day in the life of Black folks throughout history. We've got 3 episodes up on YouTube. You can search Not Your Mama's History, These Roots, and you'll be able to find the episodes there. Yeah, just really the Chain Film Festival and These
Dude,
Roots.
that's awesome.
Check them out.
And huge congrats to you. I'll do what I can to try and make it out to the premiere on Sunday. No promises, but I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, you can check it out online too.
And then
So
there's
that works
yeah.
too.
Send me all the links, and they will be in the description of this video down below. You guys, speaking of videos, if you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share, because that is exactly what Moses Akempta and the Chain Film Festival would want you to do. You guys, we live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions, and sometimes those thoughts and opinions clash. So if you have an opportunity to infuse just a little bit of kindness into the world, or speak kind words to each other, please, I implore you, take those opportunities. As always, in the words of the great Bill and Ted, Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan, be excellent to each other. I will see you guys next week.